Welcome to Hong Kong Brief. The content of the briefing includes: Chinese feminists are rebuilding their movement abroad. A landslip in Hong Kong fuels resentment of the rich. Stellantis to sell China automotive assets after Jeep move. Country Garden risks default after missing bond payment. China arrests Japanese executive despite Tokyo's appeals. Chinese feminists are rebuilding their movement abroad. Economist. Young Chinese women are using comedy as a form of diaspora activism to address feminist issues and challenge the Chinese Communist Party's crackdown on feminism. The stand-up show Zizui provides a platform for Chinese citizens, mostly women, to share stories and experiences that they cannot openly discuss in China. The routines incorporate topics such as coming out to conservative parents, sexual harassment, immigrant hardships, and abuse by Chinese police. The show aims to rebuild the feminist movement and encourage more people to get involved in activism. Women's rights in China have faced significant challenges in recent years, with activists being detained, lawsuits failing, and traditional gender roles being promoted by the Communist Party. Many feminist activists have been forced to flee overseas or have chosen to remain silent due to censorship and surveillance. However, some progress has been made, such as amendments to a women's protection law to address sexual harassment and discrimination at work. The feminist movement in China is becoming increasingly decentralized and individualized, with women opting out of traditional gender roles and demanding better treatment. The organizers of Zizui hope to keep feminist ideas alive and bring them back to China one day. A landslip in Hong Kong fuels resentment of the rich. Economist. Hong Kong's systems of planning often look dysfunctional, with as many as 1 in 4 properties in the territory altered or extended without the right permissions. The liberties taken by Hong Kong's richest residents are often the largest. Gardens and swimming pools sometimes sprawl beyond a property's registered boundaries. 3-story extensions go up without the proper permits. The government says it handles things as well as possible, but critics say it is meek when taking on the rich. Activists say the government enforces the laws selectively and sometimes uses them to hassle people it links with the pro-democracy movement. Stellantis to sell China automotive assets after Jeep move. Bloomberg. Stellantis will sell automotive assets to its Chinese partner Dongfeng Motor Group after halting production of its Jeep brand in the country. Dongfeng Motor will acquire land use rights, buildings, and structures in Wuhan and Shenyang from Dongfeng Peugeot Citroën Automobile, the joint venture with Stellantis. The sale will generate 1.71 billion Chinese yuan, $234 million, for Stellantis. The joint venture will continue to produce Peugeot and Citroën cars for Chinese customers through a 10-year leasing agreement. Stellantis has struggled to gain traction in China compared to rivals such as Volkswagen and BMW. Country Garden risks default after missing bond payment. The Guardian. China's largest property developer, Country Garden, has reportedly missed a final deadline for an interest payment on a dollar bond, putting the company at risk of default. The company has around $200 billion in liabilities and nearly $11 billion in dollar-denominated offshore bonds. Country Garden's share price fell 4% in Hong Kong following the news. The crisis in China's property sector was sparked by a clampdown by authorities on developers' high debt levels, which resulted in the default of Evergrande on parts of its $300 billion debt pile last year. China arrests Japanese executive despite Tokyo's appeals. Wall Street Journal. China has formally arrested a Japanese pharmaceutical executive who had been detained since March, further damaging business travel to the nation. The executive, who works for Japan's Astellas Pharma, disappeared in late March on what was supposed to be his last day in China after completing his assignment there. China's State Council Information Office did not respond to a request for comment. Japanese executives have said that this case is deterring travel to China, and news of the arrest has deepened those concerns. Morning update: Israeli airstrikes pound Gaza, Biden says deal struck for Gaza aid to enter from Egypt. The Globe and Mail. Israeli airstrikes have hit the Gaza Strip, including areas previously declared as safe zones by Israel. The strikes have raised fears among Palestinians in the territory that nowhere is safe. U.S. President Joe Biden, who visited Israel in a show of support for the country's government in its conflict with Hamas, has called on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to allow humanitarian aid into Gaza. However, there are restrictions on the agreement, including that aid can only be provided to southern Gaza and must be limited to food, water, and medicine. Meanwhile, a senior Hamas leader has been arrested in the West Bank after giving an interview to the Globe and Mail newspaper. The leader, Sheikh Hassan Youssef, said that Hamas had no interest in keeping women and children hostage and would release them if Israel agreed to a 24-hour ceasefire. Youssef justified an attack in southern Israel on October 7 by saying it was in response to Israel's occupation of Palestinian lands and blockade of Gaza, but acknowledged that mistakes were made. Morning bid to 5% and beyond, bond yield soar. Reuters. The U.S. economy, hawkish Federal Reserve, and dysfunctional Congress are causing Treasury bond yields to rise above 5%, impacting the stock market. Despite the risk of a renewed Middle East conflict, energy prices remain contained. Company earnings have been mixed, with Tesla shares declining 5.1% after missing margin forecasts, and Netflix surging 12.5% after beating estimates for new customers. The strength of retail, industrial, and housing construction data, along with a hawkish Fed message on interest rates, is contributing to the rising yields. Concerns over the vacant House Speaker role in Congress and Chinese entities winding down Treasury holdings are also adding to market anxiety. Taiwan's chip oracle and Japan's new wood. Nikkei Asia. The ongoing conflict in Gaza is impacting investor sentiment and dampening risk appetite in the Asian stock markets. The tensions between the U.S. and China, along with the deepened geopolitical divides caused by the Israeli-Hamas war, have led to a cautious approach from investors. This is reflected in major stock indexes such as the Hang Seng and CSI 300, which have become increasingly jittery. The CEO of J.P. Morgan Chase has warned that this may be the most dangerous time the world has seen in decades. The tensions are also affecting the tech industry, with the founder of Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC, stating that there is no globalization or free trade in the semiconductor space anymore, and that national security is the only priority. In addition, geopolitical tensions between the U.S. and China have made it difficult for American companies to invest in China's tech sectors. As a result, the billionaire boss of Hongshan, the independent entity that hived off from Sequoia Capital's China business, is looking to expand globally. Finally, a group of global venture capitalists has voiced solidarity with Israel and its startup community, reflecting Israel's position as a prominent tech hub. India launches new authorization plan for imports of laptops, tablets. Reuters. India is implementing a new import management system for laptops, tablets, and personal computers, which will require companies to register the quantity and value of imports. The government will not reject any import requests, but will use the data to monitor shipments. The aim is to ensure a trusted digital system. This decision brings relief to global laptop makers such as Dell, HP, Apple, Samsung, and Lenovo, who were unnerved by the previous announcement of a licensing regime. The previous plan would have allowed the government to reject import requests and require a license for every shipment. Further measures may be taken based on the collected data after September 2024. Swiss watch price increases help boost exports again. Bloomberg. Swiss watch exports increased by 3.8% in September, reaching 2.3 billion francs, $2.6 billion, according to the Federation of the Swiss watch industry. The growth was driven by demand from Hong Kong and Japan, while shipments to the US and China declined. Analysts attribute the rise in exports to watch brands raising prices, as total volumes dropped by 2.9% while the value rose by 4%. Watches priced above 3,000 francs saw the highest growth, increasing 8.2% by value despite a 3% decline in the number of units. TSMC says PC and smartphone markets starting to bottom out. Nikkei Asia. Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company, TSMC, has said that demand for personal computers and smartphones has started to stabilize after a long downturn. The CEO of TSMC, C.C. Wei, stated that while it is too early to call a sharp rebound, there are early signs of stabilization in these two key segments. Demand for automotive-related chips has slowed but is expected to rebound in 2024. Wei also commented on TSMC's competition with Intel, stating that TSMC's technology offers earlier time to market, better technology maturity, and better cost. Why, after 3,000 years, the umbrella still hasn't been beaten. Telegraph. The design of the umbrella has essentially remained the same since the 1850s, despite numerous attempts to reinvent it. Over the years, inventors have developed various high-tech umbrellas, such as the air umbrella and the saw, but none have managed to successfully bring their products to market. One of the main challenges faced by these inventors is the high cost of manufacturing umbrellas due to the need for manual assembly of small parts. Additionally, many manufacturers require large minimum orders, making it difficult for inventors to produce and sell their umbrellas. Furthermore, there is also the issue of public perception, as people are often reluctant to carry something that looks different and may attract attention. Despite these challenges, there have been a few successful alternative umbrellas, such as the Rainshader and the Sens Degree, which have managed to find a niche market. These umbrellas offer unique features, such as stormproofing and a sloping back, that make them more durable and effective than traditional umbrellas. However, even these successful designs face marketing challenges due to limited budgets. Overall, the quest to reinvent the umbrella and create the perfect design remains elusive. Inventors continue to face obstacles in manufacturing and marketing their products, as well as overcoming public perceptions and expectations. While there have been some success stories, the traditional umbrella design continues to dominate the market. Morikawa leads the PGA Tour's Zozo Championship by one stroke after the first round in Japan. Associated Press. Collin Morikawa's 6-under-64 in the first round of the Zozo Championship suggests the American golfer's mini-slump may be coming to an end. Morikawa has Japanese ties on his father's side and expressed that the tournament in Japan has extra meaning for him. Japanese player Makuma Horikawa and American rivals Ben Shelton and Eric Cole are among 5 players, just one shot behind Morikawa. The Zozo Championship is the only PGA Tour event in Japan and features a field with many players who have Japanese connections. Live Markets' £7 trillion fund management chief backs Sir Keir Starmer latest updates. Telegraph. The chairman and CEO of BlackRock, Larry Fink, has voiced support for UK Labour Party leader Keir Starmer. Fink praised Starmer for bringing the party back to the centre ground following years under Jeremy Corbyn. The BlackRock boss said that Starmer's ability to do so has given him hope and suggested that it is an indication that the age of populism represented by Donald Trump may be coming to an end. Hong Kong leader to adjust stamp duty for some home transactions in policy address. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong Chief Executive John Lee Ka-chiu is expected to announce measures to revive the city's property market in his upcoming policy address, including potentially scrapping or lowering stamp duty on some transactions. The government has faced pressure to ease property market cooling measures as transactions decline. In addition, Lee is set to unveil plans to boost the city's birth rate and improve its innovation hub status, including attracting companies to conduct biomedical research and speeding up the development of semiconductors. The policy address will also address structural problems in the economy, including an aging population. And that's a wrap on today's news. We've covered a wide range of topics, from Chinese feminists rebuilding their movement abroad to the ongoing conflict in Gaza, and even the latest updates from the world of sports and politics. Now, let's dive into some analysis. First up, the Chinese feminist movement. It's inspiring to see young Chinese women using comedy as a form of activism to address feminist issues. The stand-up shows as we not only provides a platform for women to share their stories and experiences, but it also aims to rebuild the feminist movement and encourage more people to get involved. It's a creative and powerful way to challenge the Chinese Communist Party's crackdown on feminism and promote gender equality. Next, let's talk about the landslip in Hong Kong and the resentment of the rich. It's no secret that Hong Kong's planning systems have their flaws, with many properties being altered or extended without the right permissions. But what's concerning is the perception that the government is meek when it comes to taking on the rich. Activists argue that the laws are enforced selectively and used to hassle those associated with the pro-democracy movement. It's a reminder that wealth and privilege can often lead to a different set of rules. Moving on to the business world, Stellantis' decision to sell its automotive assets in China is a clear sign that the company is struggling to gain traction in the Chinese market. While rivals like Volkswagen and BMW have been successful, Stellantis has faced challenges. It's a competitive market, and this move reflects the company's need to reassess its strategy and focus on areas where it can thrive. Meanwhile, China's largest property developer, Country Garden, is at risk of default after reportedly missing a bond payment. This comes as no surprise, given the recent clampdown by Chinese authorities on developers' high debt levels. Evergrande's default last year was just the beginning, and it's clear that the property sector in China is facing a crisis. The implications of this default could be far-reaching, so it's definitely a situation worth keeping an eye on. In other news, the arrest of a Japanese executive in China is further damaging business travel to the country. Japanese executives have expressed concerns about the case, and it's clear that it's impacting travel decisions. This is just another example of the tensions between China and Japan, which have been ongoing for some time. Finally, let's touch on the umbrella industry. Despite numerous attempts to reinvent the umbrella, the traditional design has remained dominant. Inventors face challenges in manufacturing, marketing, and overcoming public perceptions. While there have been some successful alternative designs, they remain niche products. It seems that the quest for the perfect umbrella design continues to elude us. And that's a wrap for today's news. Remember, these are just my thoughts and observations. I'd love to hear what you think about these topics. Do you agree with my analysis? Do you have any other insights to add? Let's keep the conversation going. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.